But also she was talking to the patients about how they're all having their chemotherapy in the same room, where she very saw there was a benefit to being in the room with lots of other people. A patient who was talking to Kate, she was wearing the cold cap, which some patients having chemotherapy do wear, and they were talking about, you know, something that they both had in common, which was A, preventative chemotherapy, and B, having this port inserted into the body for the drugs to be administered. Have a listen.
I've just had a port put in, and she had the same.
In the heart of London's most elite medical circles, where the walls whisper secrets of the powerful and the privileged, a story unfolded that few could have imagined. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, known to the world as Kate Middleton, faced her own battle with cancer. But amid her pain and uncertainty, she made a choice that spoke volumes about her character. She quietly stepped aside from the exclusive treatment wing at the London Clinic, a sanctuary reserved for royalty and the ultra-wealthy, complete with cutting-edge equipment and round-the-clock care that comes at an enormous price. This wasn't just about freeing up a room, it was about redirecting resources to those who needed them most. And in doing so, she crossed paths with Susan Harrington, a 38-year-old mother from Manchester whose life hung by a thread. What started as a chance conversation beside hospital beds turned into a lifeline, one that showcased Catherine's unspoken kindness and willingness to sacrifice. Royal insiders have hinted at moments like these, where the princess's compassion shines brightest when no cameras are around. But this one, it left even those closest to her in awe. Stick with us as we uncover the details of this touching tale, and remember to share your thoughts on acts of quiet heroism in the comments below. Catherine's journey began in early 2024 when what seemed like routine abdominal surgery revealed something far more serious: cancer. The word alone sends chills through families worldwide, and for the princess, it was no different. She announced her diagnosis in a heartfelt video message, sitting on a bench in Windsor, her voice steady but her eyes revealing the weight she carried. "We hope that you will understand that, as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment," she said, her words resonating with millions facing similar fights. But behind the public facade, Catherine was navigating chemotherapy sessions that tested her strength. Friends and family noted how she balanced her role as a mother to 3 young children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, with the grueling demands of treatment. It was during one of these stays at the London Clinic, a facility known for its discretion and luxury, that her path intertwined with Susan's. The clinic's high-end wing, often shielded from the public eye, offers amenities like private suites, gourmet meals, and specialised staff. Yet Catherine, ever the empath, felt the pull to do more. Reports from those in the know suggest she inquired about other patients, learning how resources were stretched thin amid rising cancer cases. This set the stage for a decision that would change lives. Cancer doesn't discriminate, and for Catherine, every step was watched. Her treatment began with surgery in January 2024, followed by preventive chemotherapy at the London Clinic. By September, she announced the treatment was complete, but recovery was ongoing. In a family video, she spoke candidly. "Staying cancer-free is now my focus," as scenes showed her walking in nature and playing with her children, a glimpse of both resilience and vulnerability. Facing her own illness deepened Catherine's empathy. Staff described her as humble, often seen in simple clothes, chatting with nurses about their long shifts. One late night, kept awake by pain, she noticed a fellow patient, Susan Harrington, in a temporary overflow bed beside hers. Pale but determined, Susan shared her story and Catherine listened. The rawness of that moment between royalty and an ordinary woman in pain sparked something profound in the princess. What began as a battle for her own health became a call to action for others. The London Clinic stands as a beacon of medical luxury in Marylebone, London, treating everyone from world leaders to celebrities. For Catherine, it was a place of both hope and hardship. Her surgery there in January 2024 lasted over 10 hours, and the subsequent cancer discovery led to months of chemo. By 2025, as she visited similar centres like Royal Marsden, where she revealed her remission in January, her commitment to cancer care grew. Funds from a new rose named in her honour, the Catherine Rose, support the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, with sales benefiting patient care. But back in the thick of treatment, the clinic's high-end area offered seclusion, private entrances, concierge services, and even art therapy sessions. Costs? Estimates suggest a single chemo cycle in such settings can exceed $50,000, not including extras. Catherine, however, chose to forego some of these perks. Sources close to the palace say she requested a standard room at times, freeing up the premium space for others. This wasn't publicised, it was her silent way of giving back. It was in this environment that Susan entered the picture. Transferred from a Manchester hospital due to her worsening condition, Susan found herself in the same wing through a charity referral programme. The clinic partners with organisations to occasionally accommodate urgent cases, and Susan's terminal diagnosis, stage 4 breast cancer, qualified her for advanced trials. But the costs were daunting, even with partial coverage. Catherine, overhearing nurses discuss resource strains, took note. One evening, as IV drips beeped softly, the two women struck up a talk. "How are you holding up?" Catherine asked, her voice gentle. Susan, surprised but open, shared snippets at first. The princess's own vulnerability, she spoke of missing bedtime stories with her kids, created a bond. As the night wore on, Susan's full story emerged, painting a portrait of resilience amid tragedy. This wasn't just small talk, it was the beginning of a profound connection that would lead to Catherine's extraordinary gesture. Susan Harrington, a 38-year-old from Manchester, embodies the quiet fighters who battle cancer away from the spotlight. Born and raised in the industrial north, she worked as a schoolteacher, passionate about shaping young minds. But life threw curveballs. Her mother succumbed to ovarian cancer when Susan was just 25, leaving a void and a fear that lingered. Then, 5 years ago, her husband, Mark, was left disabled after a horrific car crash, unable to work and requiring constant care. As the sole breadwinner, Susan juggled jobs while raising their 5-year-old daughter, Emily, a bright girl with dreams of becoming a dancer. "She's my everything," Susan would say, her voice cracking. But in 2023, the unthinkable happened. Susan felt a lump, and tests confirmed breast cancer, aggressive and spreading fast. By 2024, it was terminal, with metastasis to her bones and lungs. Treatment options dwindled and costs mounted. Manchester's hospitals provided basics through the NHS, but for cutting-edge therapies like targeted immunotherapy, private care was needed. Susan's Instagram, under a belief tying to heal, chronicles her journey, posts about holistic choices, questioning everyday toxins, and empowering others. "Since my diagnosis, I've learned to fight with everything I have," she shared in one reel. But privately, despair set in. How could she leave Emily without a mother? Mark's disability meant he couldn't manage alone. Fundraising efforts from friends covered some, but not the elite care at places like the London Clinic. That's when fate, or perhaps a compassionate referral, brought her south. Lying in that hospital bed, Susan confided in Catherine about the nights she cried silently, fearing for her family's future. The princess, moved to tears, listened for hours. "Your strength is inspiring," Catherine whispered. It was this raw honesty that stirred something deep within her, prompting a decision born of pure empathy. As dawn broke over the clinic, Catherine couldn't shake Susan's words. She had her own family to think of, William's supportive presence, the children's innocent questions about Mummy's medicine, But Susan's plight mirrored so many others Catherine had encountered in her charity work. Remember her hug with a cancer survivor at Sandringham on Christmas Day 2024, or her candid talks at Colchester Hospital in 2025, where she described recovery as a roller coaster. These experiences fueled her resolve. Quietly, she consulted with aides and hospital admins. The high-end wing's resources, specialised nurses, advanced monitoring, could be reallocated if she opted for simpler arrangements. But Catherine went further. Learning Susan's treatment could cost upwards of $200,000 for a full course, she arranged to cover it anonymously through a royal foundation. Insiders reveal she dipped into personal funds and leveraged connections with cancer charities like the Royal Marsden, where she's a patron. No fanfare, no press release, just a wire transfer that ensured Susan accessed the best: proton therapy, genetic testing, and supportive care. It was about saving a mother, a source said. Susan, initially unaware, received news from doctors. Her bills were settled, and a spot in the premium wing opened. When she learned the truth weeks later, through a discreet note from Catherine, tears flowed. "You've given me hope," Susan replied in a private message. This act wasn't isolated. It echoed Catherine's past generosities, like her hair donation or funding for young patients. But here, it was personal, transforming a night of shared pain into a beacon of hope. Susan's treatment took a positive turn. With access to top therapies, her tumours shrank, buying precious time. By mid-2025, she returned to Manchester, stronger, able to hug Emily without wincing. "Catherine didn't just pay for medicine, she restored my faith in goodness," Susan shared on her Instagram, without naming names to honour the secrecy. Mark, wheelchair-bound but grateful, noted how it eased their burdens. Emily, now 6, dances with renewed joy, her mother's survival a daily miracle. Beyond one family, the gesture inspired broader change. Hospital staff, moved by Catherine's humility, advocated for more equitable resource allocation. Charities saw donation spikes after vague rumours leaked, though the palace never confirmed. Catherine's own recovery progressed, with visits to cancer centres reinforcing her shift to philanthropy. In July 2025, she spoke at a survivorship event. "Support services are vital. No one should face this alone." Her actions with Susan exemplified this. Royal watchers speculate it deepened her bond with William, who has praised her strength publicly. "She's incredible," he said in an interview. This silent sacrifice highlighted how adversity can forge compassion, turning personal pain into collective healing. And as Susan's story spread subtly online, it touched millions, proving one act can spark a chain of kindness. What makes Catherine's gesture so powerful? It's the unconditional nature, with no expectations attached, just a pure heart guiding her actions. In a world dominated by headlines, hashtags, and fleeting viral moments, her choice to yield privileges quietly truly stands out as a beacon of genuine humility. Before her diagnosis, Catherine had already established herself as a champion for mental health and early childhood development through initiatives like the Heads Together campaign and the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood. But her cancer battle added profound layers to her empathy, transforming personal suffering into a deeper well of understanding for others in pain. Her long-standing work with the Teenage Cancer Trust, where she visited specialised units and spent time chatting one-on-one with young patients, always highlighted her natural empathy. These weren't scripted encounters, they were heartfelt conversations that left lasting impressions, as one survivor recalled how Catherine's gentle questions made them feel seen and valued. Post-treatment, this compassion evolved even further, blooming into renewed advocacy that touched lives across the globe. In 2025, after announcing her remission in January during a poignant visit to the Royal Marsden Hospital, the very place where she had received much of her care, Catherine hugged fellow survivors, shared practical recovery tips like the importance of nature for mental peace, and lent her name to charitable efforts such as the Catherine Rose, whose sales directly fund cancer research and patient support. She described her journey as a roller coaster during a July hospital visit, candidly admitting to the really difficult phases that follow treatment, including the emotional toll on families. Yet, even in vulnerability, she turned outward, emphasizing how small acts of kindness can make a difference. But with Susan, it was profoundly intimate. Two mothers bound by the shared shadows of illness, where one extended a hand not out of duty, but from a place of raw maternal solidarity. This moment wasn't broadcast. It was a private exchange that underscored her belief in empathy as a force for healing. This act echoes the broader shifts toward modernity within the royal family, where William and Catherine prioritize real impact over rigid tradition. They've made conscious choices to give their children a sense of normalcy, from school runs to family holidays, shielding them from the full glare of the spotlight while instilling values of service. For Susan, Catherine's intervention meant more than medical access. It translated to precious additional birthdays with Emily, playful dance sessions at home, and the strength to face tomorrow. Perhaps it even sparked Susan's own advocacy, as her social media posts now weave in themes of community support and resilience, subtly mirroring the influence of the princess's quiet guidance. Critics might scrutinize the optics, wondering if such gestures are calculated for public image, but those closest to Catherine affirm their authenticity. She's always put others first, even in her darkest hours, a longtime friend noted in a rare interview, highlighting how her compassion stems from personal trials rather than protocol. Ultimately, this story imparts deeper lessons, that sacrifice, even when silent and unseen, can echo loudly through lives and communities. It encourages all of us to look beyond our own struggles, to recognize the shared humanity in adversity, and to act with kindness that doesn't seek applause. In Catherine's example, we see how one person's empathy can ripple outward, inspiring a chain of goodwill that reminds us of the true power of compassion in a challenging world. Whether through her public messages on love in dark times or her private acts like this one, she models a path where vulnerability becomes strength and generosity becomes a legacy. As Catherine steps back into public life with renewed vigor, her silent sacrifice lingers as a profound testament to her unbreakable spirit. Declared in remission by January 2025, following months of preventive chemotherapy that tested her resolve, she's now channeling her energy into what matters most, her cherished family and the causes close to her heart. Recent appearances paint a picture of quiet triumph. In July 2025, she made a radiant return to Wimbledon, gracing the stands with her signature elegance and a warm smile that lit up the crowd, a far cry from the challenging days of treatment when she had to step back from such events. Just days earlier, during a poignant visit to Colchester Hospital, she opened up candidly about the roller coaster of recovery, describing how the phase after cancer treatment proved really difficult. She spoke of putting on a brave face for her children and the world, yet finding strength in vulnerability. These moments aren't just comebacks, they're beacons of resilience, showing how she's emerging stronger, more empathetic than ever. Meanwhile, Susan Harrington's story continues to unfold as a living ripple of Catherine's generosity. Thriving against the odds, Susan has returned to her Manchester home with a new lease on life, her tumours in retreat thanks to the advanced therapies that once seemed out of reach. Now, she's channeling her gratitude into action, planning to volunteer at local cancer support groups where she can share her journey and offer comfort to others facing similar battles. One person's kindness changed everything, she reflects in quiet conversations with friends, her voice filled with emotion. It's a full-circle moment, from a hospital bed shared in vulnerability to standing tall as a survivor who inspires her community. Emily, her young daughter, dances with unbridled joy, unaware of the royal hand that helped secure their future, while Mark finds solace in the eased burdens. But what might the future hold for these intertwined lives? For Catherine, the horizon brims with purposeful advocacy. Building on her long-standing patronage of the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, where she unveiled a namesake rose in 2025 to fund patient care, she's poised to amplify efforts in making treatments more accessible. Rumours swirling among royal circles hint at a new foundation initiative aimed at underserved patients, perhaps drawing directly from encounters like Susan's to bridge gaps in healthcare equity. Imagine expanded programs offering financial aid, emotional support, and cutting-edge options to families in need, a legacy that extends her personal battle into a global force for good. William, ever her steadfast partner, has publicly lauded her as incredible, suggesting their shared experiences will fuel joint endeavours in mental health and family well-being amid illness. This tale transcends royal gossip. It's a timeless reminder of humanity's boundless power to uplift. In the face of adversity, goodness doesn't just prevail, it multiplies, creating waves of change that touch unseen lives. Catherine's act of yielding her privileges didn't seek applause, yet it echoes as an inspiration, urging us all to consider how small sacrifices can spark profound transformations. What's your take on silent acts of kindness? Have you witnessed or performed one that shifted someone's world? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more touching narratives from the heart of royalty. Up next, another royal revelation that might just warm your heart and restore your faith in compassion.